The Bulldogs are reportedly in serious negotiations with Ryan Papenhuyzen. It's been suggested that they could even be the favourites ahead of Melbourne. It's also been reported that Whālongo management have a verbal agreement with the Storm that they can explore other options if Papenhuyzen is re-signed after 2025. Oh man, this Papenhuyzen situation, it's the longer it goes on, the more I get really worried that he's not going to be at the Storm. And it is just such a tough situation because you can see both sides. Like, you can see the club side going, okay, like, you know, there's been quite a few injuries and, yep, we've stayed loyal and all that kind of stuff. But you can see Papenhuyzen's side going, well, if you're signing me, sign me for what I'm worth if I'm playing, because the expectation is that I'll be playing full time. And so I guess from him, he's going, if I sign on 750K, I'm basically saying, oh, I'm going to be injured and not playing the whole season. Because Papenhuyzen playing a full season of rugby league, I think we all agree, is around $1 million mark. Yeah. At fullback.
Yep.
And so from his perspective, you're going, well, as I said, if I'm signing for 750K, there is almost this like, I'm signing of the understanding that I'm going to be injured. However, you know, from the club's perspective, it's like, yeah, unfortunately, we can only go off the last couple of years, and that's kind of been what has been the situation. So I don't know what the right answer is here. I want Papy to stay in Melbourne. I think that he suits it. I think that they can build it. They're building something. I mean, they were this close to a premiership just this year. However, you know, you don't get any younger, and when big contracts come along, you've got to take them when they arrive.
I want him to go to the Doggies. I think that'd be unreal.
Yeah, okay.
I love Papenhuyzen at the Bulldogs. And the thing I will say around, like, certainly defending probably Papy, and if it is a club's perspective of how many games you've missed through injury and all that, it's not soft tissue. And again, plenty of people far more versed than me talking about injuries, NRL physio. But it's not soft tissue stuff like Tommy, where hammies go, pec tears, all this. Like, there was the shattered kneecap from Jack White in a freak incident, and then he came back from that after a lengthy layoff, and I believe he broke his ankle or snapped ligaments or something. Yep. They're like, it's not injury-prone stuff, and these soft little things that, in theory, could really keep happening to him. They've been pretty freak accidents. So outside of that, I don't believe him having, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's had too many soft tissue injuries. So if I'm Papy, I'm going, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. I'm getting games back under my belt following two quite substantial injuries. And I think he is $1 million a season player, and I think he's worth every cent of that moving forward. So the Storm are obviously in this position where they've got a future superstar, I think, in Whālongo available, and he can slot in at fullback if Papenhuyzen is to go. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about the Doggies soon and what he'd do for them. But in terms of the Melbourne situation, I think he's worth every cent.
What do you reckon, Amy?
Yeah, it is a tough one. I think he's definitely worth more than, you know, if that's what they're offering him. He'd probably feel a little bit shortchanged there. I just think he suits Melbourne so well. You know, I just associate him and Melbourne together so much. As I mentioned with you last week, I think he cuts through the cross-code noise down there. Like, people in Melbourne who are like AFL fans who don't know anything about rugby league, like, oh, that's Ryan Papenhuyzen, like the rugby league guy. Like,
there's an argument to be made. He has a bigger profile on, he does have a bigger following on social media than anyone at the Storm right now. I know that's not the only measurement, but it is a measurement.
Yeah. So look, you know, if it's just dollars and cents and all that sort of stuff, you can definitely get more elsewhere. But, you know, he's such a fixture of that kind of side and that town. He's also got his podcast going down there with a couple of other boys.
Yeah, the boys,
yep. So I don't know how much of a factor that might be even in thinking about what he wants to do. But if he's thinking about, you know, other stuff after footy, and you mentioned, like, you know, if they were to win another couple of comps down there, what value that would add to him post-footy, so would his podcast probably, keeping those three great players together, Munster and Jerome Hughes as well. It'd be interesting to see how much he considers that. But yeah, look, if it's just the dollars and cents, he's definitely going to be able to get that elsewhere. And I mean, the Dogs are building nicely. Probably would be a cool place for him to land. Like, I think they're trending in the right direction. But just as a fan of the game, I'd love it if they could work out a way that he can stay at the Storm. But feels like it's a little way off at the moment.
Yeah, so you go back through his last years. First year, 22 games. Second year, 20 games. 2021, 15 games. 2022, 12 games. 2023, 3 games. 2024, 20 games. So it is such a weird situation, because if you're Papy, you're looking at the 20 games going, played 20 games last year. Like, you know, like, what do you, why am I signing a contract after this last season where I played 20 games and we got to a grand final? Like, why would I be signing a discount? However, the club's looking at it going, well, 15, 12, 3, it's tough. I don't know, man. I guess, like, if I had to lean anyway, because I'm usually player first, I guess I lean definitely in, or not, I guess I lean definitely, that doesn't make sense. I lean towards Papy's side of things, going, what you're saying, Timmy, with like, these weren't soft tissue injuries. These were just freak accidents. And also, he's proven since he's come back, like, he's actually rounded out his game really well. So, like, even if they tried to make the argument, I'm not saying the Storm are making this argument, but let's say you were to say, oh, you've lost a step of pace. He could say, okay, I'll give you that. I've lost a step. And even though maybe he hasn't, look how much better my ball playing is. Look how much better my talk behind the line is. Look how much better my defense is. Look at all these things I've improved, because he has. Like, the Ryan Papenhuyzen that you see play today's ball playing is honestly magnitudes better than 3 or 4 years ago.
And because of his character and like his commitment to training and all these standards that he sets for himself, you see the development in his ball play and his game. It's going to continue to get better. He's still young. He's not worth anything less than $1 million in my eyes. Well, what do you think?
I'm just looking at his age, 26. So he's got plenty more footy left in him. Look, I think if it's 750 that they're throwing around, that's been reported, I think that's way too low.
That's the number.
Yeah, that's way too low. Now, if you're from, I guess, the weird thing is now this report around the verbal agreement for Alongo, because what I thought was happening is that Storm was sitting there going, we're paying, let's just assume we're paying for Alongo around 400, 500 grand. So we'll get Papy for 750. We'll try and get Alongo for 450 or 500. That equates to about 1.2 million, which is probably what Papy could get at his peak. And so so that's what I thought was happening in regards to the 750 figure, where they were trying to keep both. But then when I hear Fa'alongo has the ability to leave verbal agreement, I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense, because why aren't they offering it? It's either they have money for him or they don't, because if you do re-sign him, Fa'alongo's gone anyway. So why not just offer, it's either offer him 1 million or nothing, because that in-between one is a bit weird, because let's say he signs for 750 and then Fa'alongo leaves, then Papy would sit there and go, well, the reason I signed for 750 because 400 was for Fa'alongo. He's not even here anymore.
And also, again, if that is the case, and
that's all speculation.
Yeah, if that were the case, and Papy's 750 and Fa'alongo's 450, and they've got him, combined 1.2, 1.3 million, whatever it is, that's fantastic for the Storm, who get these two absolute stars for 1.2 combined. But Papy's getting 250,000 less a season than he should, and Fa'alongo's playing Queensland Cup.
Yeah.
So
because you got Wishart will definitely get that 14. Well, not definitely. We'll most likely get the 14 jersey next year. So I tell you what, him at the Bulldogs, the star power that he would bring at fullback. Now I feel for Connor Tracy because he's been so good, but if you're sitting there as Serraldo and you're going, I'm trying to rebuild this club and bring in people that have great ethic, training ethic, great, I guess, just like that vibe of good human being in a locker room. Like Papenhuyzen has that in him. Like he seems like a good human being with morals and ethics. Just all of those tied into the fact that Papy at his best is one of the best fullbacks in the competition. It would be an incredible signing for the Bulldogs. And his star power out at Canterbury and West Sydney, heart of rugby league, essentially, to a degree. Wow.
He'd be he'd be an incredible fit for the Bulldogs. And they went through a really dark period, the Bulldogs, for, the best part of a decade. And what they've done to come out of it, I know it's only 1 year, but they're building around culture, and they're bringing people to the club who want to play for the jersey and want to bust their ass for every minute of a football game and at training and in the off-season and all of that. And it's Ryan Papenhuyzen, isn't it?
Yeah.
And from a footy perspective, I look at it and I go, they're building a really special thing at the moment, the Bulldogs, but do they have the squad to actually compete for a title? Maybe they do, but in my eyes, they are a star short of getting to a prelim final and knocking off a Panthers or whoever it might be. I could be very wrong. We're all very wrong about them this year, so there's no reason why they're not going to improve again, but just a few more points in them, a go-to in attack where they go, nothing's on, we need points somewhere. They've doubled up on Stephen Crichton. He's not going to offer too much there because they're all in on him. And it's Ryan Papenhuyzen. It's his support play. It's his ball playing. Ryan Papenhuyzen there would be the perfect fit for the Bulldogs. Mate, I'd love to see it.
I mean, and tell you what, he suits their play. Like, smaller forward pack, really fast, really fit, mobile. You get a guy like Ryan Papenhuyzen sniffing around the rock constantly at the Dogs, which is already in a really mobile pack. Mate, it'd be dangerous as.
Yep. And small detail, but I think an important one. Jizzy looked good in one of those, particularly those retro jerseys.
Ooh, yeah.
Imagine the mullet flapping in the breeze out the back of that collar.
Mate.
Outrageous.
That would be hot.
Very
hot
hot.
stuff. I'm trying to imagine Papy in a Bulldogs jersey. Wow, that would be strange. Would be strange.
I think him and Viliami kick out.
Oh, with that offload.
Yeah, like you mentioned before how there was just a vibe thing about Kyle Felt and Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah.
I just think Viliami kick out and Ryan Papenhuyzen. I just think there's something special there. I'm vibing it, and I think they could just create one of the great combinations on the edge.
Imagine him sniffing around kick out every time he ran the ball, because that would actually take defenders off kick out.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, kick out's making line breaks because people are worried about Papy on the inside.
And kick out just like bursting through the line. He's got blokes hanging off him that arm free and just pop. Papy's there. there.
And you look at the year. So he signed obviously this year, 2025. So at 2026, he will be probably 27, turning 28. So peak of his career, like genuinely coming into the prime 3-4 years of his career. And also, the positive for the Bulldogs is they're also a year older. And who knows, all those young guns that have been waiting in the wings and developing and winning all the juniors and that, they could be developing into the perfect player by 26, 27. That's when I'm assuming that their premiership push is probably planned for. Like, I'd assume the Bulldogs internally, I know they're stoked with how they've gone, and I'm sure they're heading into this season, 25, going, we're here to win a premiership, and I'm sure they are. However, I reckon their actual planning 2 years ago, they would have had year 26 and 27 penciled in as the year that that's when we hope to make a premiership push in those years. Like, because, I'm sure fans are aware of this, but like clubs, they don't go, especially clubs that are almost on the rebuild, they don't go, next year we want to win a premiership, or maybe the year after. They usually go, okay, we've got these young guys here. They're probably going to be 25 in 3 or 4 years. Let's pencil in the 26th and 27th year where we're going to be dominant. And so I reckon with the Bulldogs, that's that he lands at the club at almost exactly the right time that you'd hope they're charging for a premiership.
And the other fact that it's a really sort of, again, understated probably benefit, but as it stands, he's not in the origin frame. So that could change extremely quickly with Ryan Papenhuyzen. But as it stands, you've got Dylan Edwards there, Tom Trebojevic could go back there, potentially, Latrell will play centre for origin. But, he's not in the top sort of probably 2 in the pecking order. That's a big thing for a club to have a marquee player available around the origin period and not getting these extra reps under their belt through that period.
Yep, and it's not like he's too old for origin. It's not like he's not origin level just because of the bad luck of injuries. He's just almost missed his sliding doors moment.
He is origin quality. He's just fullbacks for the Blues have been stacked for a number of years.
The backlog of depth is what I was going to say. There's so many there that, he's probably, as you said, 3rd or 4th in line to have a crack. Yeah.
And also, it does line up because I think it's Joash Papali'i, the reserve grade fullback, just signed with Para. So, again, I know that he's not the starting fullback, but it does line up that they would have lost a top 30 squad fullback position. I guess the tough thing is, then where do you put Connor Tracy, who was so good for them last year?
Yeah, I mean, so versatile, Connor Tracy, can freaking play anywhere, but probably on the bench. I mean, they've got so many.
They've got Hayward on the bench.
They've got Hayward.
So
Kurt Mann probably starts at lock, I think, a fully fit Kurt Mann.
Maybe the wing. They've lost a couple of wingers. Obviously, the Fox is gone. And
Kiraz and Skelton's gone. But they got Kiraz and they got
Blake Wilson.
Blake Wilson as well, who was pretty good.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe wing. Wing.
The thing is, he's probably one injury away from playing near enough anywhere in the back line.
Pretty much.
There's back 5 anyway.
Yep.
But he's a terrific 14. But as I said, Bailey Hayward, Kurt Mann, Jamin Salmon, they've got some options.
Yep. So, man, I hope it gets sorted soon because, it's going to be either way, it's an exciting prospect to consider. If he stays at the Storm, they get to build towards another premiership together, and we get to see almost the new big 3 of Papy, Munster, Hughes, Grant, big 4. Or if he goes to the Dogs, you know, geez, what a turnaround for the club that they like. Even what's crazy is like, even a couple of years ago, if you said, "Oh, Papenhuyzen's considering the Dogs," people are like, "Oh, like come on, he's still on the peak of his career. Why would he go to a bottom tier side? It must be for the money." Whereas what's crazy is we haven't even mentioned once the figure that the Bulldogs would be offering him. So what that means to me is like, I don't even think the Bulldogs will pay overs for him. I think the Bulldogs will go, "We've got $1 million for you. We're not going to give you a 6-year deal or a 5-year deal. It's going to be probably a 2 to 3 year deal, $1 million a year. And if you want to come, you can come." Just shows you how much stronger a place they were, because 3 or 4 years ago, they would have had to pay overs for him.
Yeah. Game changer. And you look at, it also emphasises the club's view on Suafa-Longo, just going, again, if reports are correct, and he's been lowballed, which the fact that he hasn't signed on or committed to them suggests he probably has been.
Yep.
It just shows the belief they've got in Farlongo to slot in if he's gone and what he can do for them. Scary
as well that, like, if they, let's say they don't re-sign Papy, and granted, I still believe that Papy is a better fullback at this stage than Farlongo. Now, Farlongo could develop into a better one, we don't know. But the scary thing for Storm is if they do lose Papy and Farlongo comes in and does a job, the money they will have to go in the market to get more people to the club, the Storm, that is, because they'll be paying Farlongo probably, $500K, $600K max. All of a sudden, there's an extra $400,000, $500K in the salary cap. So that's scaring the market.